Run it back. Chandler's having some issues right now. He's back. Had him all last season. It was fantastic. Senior NBA writer for The Athletic, Sam Amick, is back on the show. There he is. Boom, different room. Oh, no, this is a hotel. We're in a hotel, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. We were looking forward to the Toucan.
Yeah, we wanted a Toucan, but that's all right. Well, first of all, how was your off season? Did you get any good times?
I was good, guys. Great to be back with you. It was good until like September when all the non-basketball stuff popped up and we got a little too busy too early. But, you know, we got to the Hawaiian Islands. We got away and had to be back.
Well played, sir. Well played. All right, well, we are going to just do basketball because I know yesterday was another one of those types of days. But LeBron out to start the season with sciatica. I know that threw a lot of people off kilter, but here we are. Then they lose opening night to the Warriors. All eyes will always be on that team. We know that he is monitoring the situation. Is there a world in where we see him ask for a trade this year?
I think there's a world. I just don't see it because honestly, I think LeBron and even somebody of Giannis' stature, when you talk about being younger and at this point better, today's NBA, you move around. And I think honestly, that's kind of what these guys learned in the summer is that if you're Giannis and you're frustrated with your situation, and I know we're going to talk about him, if you're LeBron and you're not quite sure that you might want to finish things up in Lakerland, you look up and it's the second apron environment. It's the fact that, you know, free agency even is not what it used to be. You can't go get that max deal somewhere else. And trade-wise, it's funny, it was on my mind last night watching that Warriors game because we know about LeBron having shown some interest to maybe join those guys, which, you know, if you could just snap your fingers and make it happen, it would be interesting. It's just not that simple. So never say never, but I was in LA for the opener, and it was kind of sad to see him on that sideline knowing that A, he's not healthy enough to go, and that B, it's just kind of crunchy right now when it comes to this final chapter for him.
Yeah.
Sam, you know all things Warriors, so I got to ask you about the whole Jonathan Kuminga thing. Obviously, right before the season, he signs that 2-year deal, and there's still a bunch of chatter, and now he's still a trade piece. He started both games. He's played pretty good the first 2 games of the season. Is it more likely that he's still a trade asset and he's going to be moved to the deadline, or is he now officially a piece of that kind of core and future going forward?
Chandler, I think it's both. You know what I mean? It's funny. I talked to some Warriors people after they beat the Lakers about that question. And my thing was, all right, now how long is this list of players that they would legitimately think about moving JK for? And I was a little shocked to be told that it's kind of like 1.5. I mean, I'm sure it might be longer than that, but we know that if something happened with Giannis, and we have to find out if he even would ever want to go there, that would be a guy that you know, John would be in a deal like that. From there, Trey Murphy III's name comes up, but because he's looked good and because Steve Kerr's, you know, been praising him for changing his game a little bit, and you start hearing the maturity word quite a bit, I think it's interesting though. It's like it's a chicken or the egg. You know, even though his contract is not what he wanted it to be, he is finally getting paid to some degree. You know, he's had these moments where Steve Kerr feels like he's done some of the stuff that he hasn't in the past that frustrated them. And his teammates have been supporting him and rocking with him. And like I got asked the other day, is there any, you know, friction between, you know, the guys in the locker room? And I don't think there's any. They've managed to make it work, and it's only a couple games, but it's looked pretty good.
Starting off 2-0 also helps, though.
Yeah, that's also,
yes,
that feels great. The Giannis trade saga. Look, the Knicks part of all of this is going to be fascinating for a while. You started an article that's with to be continued. He's too good a dude to not request it publicly, but I don't know what's going on behind closed doors there. Is this something that strictly will be dealt with after the Bucks season, first of all?
I don't know. I mean, if they struggle, then I think you got to watch it. You know what I mean? Like I give the Bucks some credit in terms of the way they framed this thing after a kind of a loud summer with Giannis was that with, you know, Tyrese Halliburton's injury, with the Pacers and some of the other stuff that went on, you can squint a little bit and see a world where the Bucks can be one of the better teams in the East. They sold Giannis on Miles Turner at a time when, you know, when that deal first went down, it was hard to tell if A, he had been told about it and, you know, during the discussions, and B, if he was a big fan of it. Since then, you know, Giannis has said nothing but great things about Miles. So they have convinced him to kind of play ball with this group for now. As you guys know, though, he's been pretty candid about the way he sees it. And I kind of love that. Like, there's so much, when it comes to stuff that gets reported and then players speaking on it, where a lot of times they won't just say the truth about what's going on. He's been pretty transparent. Like, he's looking to contend. He loves Milwaukee. He loves the Bucks. It's nothing personal. But if it doesn't go well and if they really don't look good, then I think it could get louder.
I mean, look, the season's still going on, and he's spotted crossing the street with his family in Manhattan. Like, that's a weird destination spot during season playoffs. But here's my question, though, because as fun as that seems to be, him playing in New York, what can they possibly offer to get a guy like Giannis?
I mean, Jalen Brunson's off the table. That in and of itself is probably a deal breaker for now. Where if you're the Bucks and you're John Horst, their longtime GM, John has also been transparent, at least behind the scenes throughout this whole thing, and saying, like, he's not gonna take anything less than, like, everything from you if he's ever gonna trade Giannis. That he's coming for blood, so to speak, as far as a deal like that, because that market and that franchise, that's the greatest player they've had since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they want to survive if they have to move off of him. So with Jalen off the table, then the discussion kind of shifted to the other guys on the roster, but there's nothing there. There just isn't. And the Knicks, at least for now, it's a little bit like with the Bucks, where you got to see how they play. New York, it sounds counterintuitive, but they legitimately looked at the Giannis thing and said, we're pretty invested in what we have right now. We just added Mike Brown as our coach. We think that we're legitimate title contenders, and that belief in what they have, at least for now, again, kind of pushed that situation back a bit.
Hold on. Wait. So if they could have figured out a way, something, they were like, nah, we're good?
Yes. They it's kind of like put in the back pocket. And honestly, I think Giannis knew that. You've lodged your interest in us, but the question is, were they ready to go ahead, hit that button, and blow up all the work they'd done to build this roster, and the season they had last year? And, the coaching change obviously was pretty controversial, but they thought they leveled up. Agree or disagree, that's how they saw it. And no, they didn't want to hit that button and start over. Now, I don't know where the deal could have been done on the Bucs side with John, but yeah, the Knicks, they feel really good about what they have, and they're kind of waiting on the other situation.
That's a little shocking to me. By the way, if it's not New York, because 2 years ago, did I not say Giannis is going to be a Knick when it's all said?
You sure did.
So I'm already committed to that mentally. But if it wasn't there, is there another team that we could kind of look to possibly?
I don't know, but we're talking Warriors. I did spend part of yesterday trying to get some clarity, like on that scenario. If you go back to All-Star Weekend, and I've written this a little bit, Steph Curry hosts a party at the Splash Restaurant and Bar next to Chase Center. And honestly, just in terms of this job cracking me up sometimes, it's late night. There's, people around the NBA all over this party, and I'm actually sitting there talking to Joe Lacob at this thing, and I look up at the stairwell, and none other than Giannis, the only non-Warrior in the room, is going up the stairs with his wife Mariah and going to hang with, it was Steph and Draymond up there. And it just, the optics of it made you go, oh boy, here's like early recruiting days. It made you kind of think of the KD, kind of partnership that they had back in the day. I kind of circled back on some of that stuff yesterday, and it was actually kind of told, like, yeah, they're obviously good relationship, good, friendly. Steph has the same agency as Giannis, but not the type of smoke you might have thought as far as, that being something that was kind of percolating in the background. New York is the only one right now for me where it's really clear that Giannis does have interest there.
Yeah, and Sam, I know the season is very early, and like you said, we're trying to sort out all of these different scenarios. But if there had to be one big name to be moved by the deadline, what's your guess on that?
I don't know about move, Lou. I think, and we might hit on this a little more later, but the Atlanta situation, it's not about getting moved. It's just
Dub Nation, buckle up, because what we're seeing right now out of the Golden State Warriors isn't just about veteran greatness. It's about something bigger. It's about renewal. It's about energy. It's about a franchise that refuses to fade quietly, one that keeps finding new sparks to keep the dynasty's flame alive. And that spark right now His name is Will Richard, a rookie who's already making Steph Curry and the entire locker room take notice. Let's set the stage. The Warriors came into this season with all the talk surrounding their age. Analysts said it, fans questioned it, commentators laughed at it. A starting lineup featuring Steph Curry at 37, Jimmy Butler at 36, Draymond Green at 35, and Al Horford at 39, the oldest core in the NBA. The narrative was simple. They're too old, too slow, too past their prime. But as always, the Warriors are doing what they do best, proving people wrong. After an opening win over the Lakers and a statement overtime victory against the defending champion Denver Nuggets, Golden State sits 2-0, undefeated, resilient, and fearless. But beneath the headlines about Curry's 42-point explosion and Jimmy Butler's two-way dominance, something else is brewing inside that locker room. A new generation learning the Warrior way. And that's where Will Richard comes in. Now, let's talk about what Stephen Curry said. Because when the greatest shooter to ever walk the earth stops mid-interview to praise a rookie by name, you pay attention. After the win over Denver, Curry didn't talk about his own heroics or his 35 points in the second half. Instead, he talked about Will Richard and what makes this kid special. There's something about winning players at whatever level, Curry said. He's a champion for a reason down there in Florida. You can tell he's been through it. Guys who played high-stakes basketball in college, that still matters. Think about that. This is coming from a 4-time NBA champion, a 2-time MVP, a finals MVP, and a future Hall of Famer. Steph's been around every type of player, from prodigies to projects. But what caught his eye about Richard wasn't just his stats, it was his mentality. Will Richard was a second-round pick, the kind of player most teams overlook. But the Warriors, they've built a legacy on finding those diamonds in the rough. Draymond Green was a second-rounder. So was Jordan Bell back in the day. Even Gary Payton II had to claw his way through the G League before becoming a core rotation piece in Golden State's 2022 title run. This franchise knows how to identify winners. And that's exactly what Will Richard is, a winner. At 22 years old, Richard came into training camp with something you can't teach: composure. He played 4 years at Florida, where he learned what it takes to grind through adversity, to compete every night against the best college talent in America. That kind of maturity, that kind of readiness is what Curry was pointing to when he said he's fearless, the lights aren't too bright for him. That right there is the definition of a warrior. And we've already seen glimpses of it on the floor. Against the Lakers, he gave the team 5 points in limited minutes, but it wasn't the numbers that mattered. It was the attitude, the intensity, the defensive communication, the way he jumped passing lanes, fought for 50-50 balls, and celebrated teammate success. That's the stuff veterans notice. Then against Denver, in the biggest moments of the fourth quarter, he drilled a crucial three-pointer. No hesitation, no fear, and you could feel the momentum shift instantly. Curry talked about it after the game. He made his presence felt, that jump ball, that hustle play, that rebound, that three. All that stuff lifts the whole group. You can see it. It gives energy to everybody on the court. That's powerful, because energy is contagious. And right now, the Warriors have found the perfect balance: veteran leadership with youthful fire. You've got the old guard, Curry, Butler, Draymond, Horford, who bring the experience, the IQ, the stability. And now you've got this new wave of young guns: Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, Quentin Post, and Will Richard. Each of them has something to prove, and each of them fits into the Warriors system like pieces of a larger puzzle designed by Steve Kerr himself. Speaking of Kerr, this is where his genius shows. He's not just a coach of stars, he's a builder of cultures. He gives young players the tools to thrive in meaningful minutes. He lets them make mistakes, but he holds them accountable within the Warriors structure: movement, spacing, defense, communication. You look at Richard's early minutes, and you can already see that discipline. He doesn't freelance, he doesn't over-dribble, he plays within the flow of the offense. He cuts, he screens, he rebounds, and when the opportunity's there, he shoots. And let's talk about that shot. During the offseason, Will Richard reportedly reworked his mechanics with assistant coach Chris DeMarco. His release is quicker, his balance more consistent, and the confidence off the charts. In preseason, he shot 47% from three. In his limited regular season action, he's already showing that same rhythm. That's not luck, that's preparation. That's the Warriors' development machine at work. We also have to credit Draymond Green here, because while Steph leads vocally, Draymond leads emotionally. He's the heartbeat of this team. And word around Chase Centers that he's taken Richard under his wing. During practices, Draymond's been seen barking at him, not to tear him down, but to build him up. That's how Warrior veterans operate. They test you, they push you, and if you respond, you earn their respect. By all accounts, Will Richard's earning it fast. Even Al Horford, the ultimate professional, praised him after the Denver game, saying the kid reminds him of young players he used to mentor in Boston. That's high praise from one of the most respected voices in the league. And here's the thing. The Warriors don't need Will Richard to be a star. They just need him to be solid, to play his role, to bring that spark off the bench, to make those hustle plays that shift momentum. Every championship team has a player like that, a role player who embraces the moment and delivers beyond expectations. For the 2015 Warriors, it was Andre Iguodala. For 2022, it was Gary Payton II. For this 2025 squad, it might just be Will Richard. Now, let's zoom out. Through the first 2 games, the Warriors' rotation has shown depth we haven't seen in years. 9 players averaging double-digit minutes. The bench scoring ranked top 5 in the league. The ball movement, flawless. They're averaging 31 assists per game, first in the NBA. The chemistry, off the charts. This doesn't look like a team fighting father time. It looks like a team embracing evolution. And the reason is simple. Stephen Curry. He's the bridge between generations. The guy who can drop 40 one night and spend the next praising a rookie for his energy. That's leadership. That's culture. That's why Golden State keeps winning year after year. When your best player is also your most humble, the tone of the locker room changes. It becomes about growth. It becomes about collective purpose. Curry said something subtle but important about Will Richard. He sees the game really well. That's code for he belongs. It's a sign that Steph sees in Richard what he's seen in so many other Golden State success stories, a player who understands the Warriors' DNA, movement, intelligence, timing, and unselfishness. And let's not forget, this team has a track record of turning second-rounders into legends. Draymond Green, selected 35th overall in 2012, became a Defensive Player of the Year, a 4-time champion, and a future Hall of Famer. Now, in 2025, Will Richard might just be the next chapter in that tradition. Even ESPN analysts are taking notice. Brian Windhorst recently mentioned that the Warriors may have struck gold again, calling Richard a mature rookie who's already earned trust from the franchise's core. That's not small talk. That's the type of comment that tells you the league is watching. So, Dub Nation, as we head into Game 3 against Portland, remember this. The Warriors' story this year isn't just about proving doubters wrong. It's about building something sustainable. It's about passing the torch while keeping the fire burning. It's about Curry, Butler, Draymond, and Horford leading, teaching, mentoring, and watching young players like Will Richard step up to carry the legacy forward. That's what champions do. They inspire the next generation to become one. So when Steph Curry says he's fearless, the lights aren't too bright for him, understand the weight of that statement. It means the dynasty isn't just surviving, it's regenerating, it's adapting, it's preparing for what comes next. Golden State isn't just playing basketball right now, they're redefining what a veteran-led team looks like in modern sports. They're showing that when leadership meets hunger, when wisdom meets youth, you don't get decline, you get dominance. And make no mistake, this team is dangerous again. Stephen Curry's still the heart, Draymond's still the soul, Jimmy Butler is still the muscle, Al Horford is still the anchor. And now, with Will Richard rising, they've got a spark that could light up the entire season. So, Dub Nation, what do you think? Has Will Richard already earned a permanent role in Kerr's rotation? Do you see the Warriors' dynasty evolving right before our eyes? And how far do you think this mix of veteran greatness and youthful energy can take us this year? Drop your thoughts below. Let me know your take in the comments. Hit that like button if you believe in the new generation of Warriors basketball. And don't forget to subscribe to Warriors Nation News for all the latest updates, reactions, and behind-the-scenes insights. Because one thing's for sure, the dynasty isn't done. It's just getting younger, faster, and hungrier. The Golden State Warriors are back, and they're building something scary all over again.